Okay, so we've talked about what you have to do if you want to use a certain copyrighted thing. For instance, you want to use a copyrighted photograph. You want to use copyrighted software. You want to use copyrighted sculpture. There's going to be, a famous sculpture in the background of your film, or there's a famous painting in the background of your film, a photograph, whatever, anything like that that you don't use. You need to call the folks who own the copyright and say, hey, can I license your photo for use in my movie? They'll ask you some questions about how you're going to use it, and then you'll negotiate a price. So that's for those things. And then we talked about music. If you want to use the composition in your movie, you'll get a synchronization license. And if you want to use the actual recording in your movie, you will get a synchronization license and a master use license. But what if you want to use something that is not artwork per se? What if you want to show a particular product in your film? Or maybe if it's not that you're dying to have Bud Light in your film, but you're shooting in a location that has a huge neon Bud Light sign. Yeah, you didn't choose it, but it's there and you can't take it down. You still have to get permission for that. Or say that one of your actors are carrying a very brand identifiable product, like it's very obviously a Macintosh computer, or it's very obviously a Bud Light. What if your character is wearing a shirt, like a band t-shirt, right? BAND, like a rock band t-shirt or something like that. Or even if it's a college, a university logo. It says like CUNY, BMCC or something on that. You need permission to show those things. Technically, what that permission is called is a clearance. So you need to get something called a clearance. And this means that you have talked to the company that owns this brand or product, and they've said that it's okay for you to show it in your film. Now, this usually doesn't involve money the way that licensing something copyrighted is, but it is extremely important. And you'll see that more than just a few people have been sued for not getting clearances. It can get complicated, and we'll go into the details maybe a little later on, but right now I just want you to understand the basics. So like I said, there's usually not money involved. So in this way, it's not like licensing something under copyright, but you are asking for their permission. So you will call up, I don't know, the Doritos people and be like, I really, there's a big Doritos sign in the background of where I'm shooting. Can I have a clearance to use that in my film? Now, the first thing almost every company will want is some information from you about your project before they say yes or no to giving you a clearance. For instance, they'll almost definitely ask to read your script. And why? Well, imagine you have a scene, someone's washing up dishes in a sink, and there's a garbage disposal in the sink. And it just happens that that garbage disposal has a huge brand name on it, very visible, like, for instance, InSinkErator. And you call InSinkErator up and say, hey, can I show your product in my film? Can I have a clearance? They'll ask for the script. You give it to them and they read it. And of course, it takes them a while to get back to you. But now if they read your script and it turns out that the scene that shows their brand name or their product is just a scene of your character happily using the garbage disposal to clean up after dinner, that's no big deal. They'll probably say, sure, show our product, no problem. Now imagine instead that you send them a script and the scene that shows their product and brand name isn't a happy scene, but it's a scene where a character drops her ring down the garbage disposal and she reaches into the garbage disposal and the garbage disposal eats her hand off. Well, if you made a product you wanted to sell and then somebody showed it on television displaying how it can rip your hand off, you probably would not be happy about that. You would probably, and the company would probably deny you a clearance. And another big thing is people want to make sure that their product is not showing up in porn. Can you imagine, like, My Little Pony is called up and it's like, hey, can we use My Little Pony in our film? If they didn't ask to read the script and they were just like, yeah, sure, we love promotion, and then it turns out like, oh, it's a porn movie, right? That is why you have to get the company's clearance to use or show their product in your film. And there are plenty of lawsuits to look up if you want to see how important this stuff actually is. This garbage disposal example is real. They got sued. They didn't ask for a clearance. And I don't know if they didn't think of it or they thought, oh my God, they'll never give us a clearance if we show them how we intend to use it. But the fact of the matter is they didn't ask for a clearance. And who knows, if the television show hadn't showed her getting her hand eaten off and just showed the product being used in a good way, maybe they wouldn't have sued. I mean, it would be InSyncRator's right to sue them, even if they did show it in a good light, but you're much more likely to be sued if you show the product in a bad light. Not a lot of people are going to complain about good publicity. People will definitely complain about bad publicity. But the fact of the matter is, whether you think you're giving them good publicity or bad publicity, you need to get a clearance. So how do you do that? It's simple. You actually just call up the company and say, if it's a big enough company, whom can I speak to about product clearances for film and television? If the person answering the phone says, I have no idea what you're talking about, then you ask for the legal department and repeat the question there, and they will know. They might refer you to a different department, but they'll know what you're talking about. And again, this is not something where money changes hands. They're not going to say, yes, you can use our product, but it'll cost you $50. That's not how it works. They will either send you something in writing that says, yes, you have permission to use, to shoot with our big Bud Light sign in the background, or they will say, no, you do not have permission. And then if they say no, you're out of luck and you got to get rid of that product. You've got to hide the product or otherwise disguise it. That's how it works. So those are the big three things you have to consider when you're talking about copyrights. There's the stuff we talked about first, which is everything from film, video, images, software, architecture, choreography. You remember when we went through that big list. And then with music, you have to worry about the synchronization rights and the master use rights. And then when it comes to products and brand names that are identifiable, you have to get permission called clearances.